All right, we're going to call the Human Affairs Committee to order on April 9th at 7:05 p.m. in the Aldermanic Chamber. If the clerk would please call the roll.
Yes, Alderman Wilshire,
Here.
Alderman Karen,
Here.
Alderman Clee,
Here.
Alderwoman Melizzi Golia, I'm present, and Alderman Harriet Gathright. And also in attendance, we have Carrie Skeena from the Urban Programs Department.
Okay, so Alderman Gathright is not here. Okay,
Not here,
you got
yeah.
that. Okay. All right, tonight we're having a public hearing on Resolution 18-020, authorizing the mayor to apply for and expend the Community Development Block Grant and Home Investment Partnership Program funds for fiscal year 2019. I'm going to, well, I guess we have to give a little overview because it's a public hearing. Every year, the city gets Community Development Block Grant money. We're an entitlement community, and this committee, through its wonderful staff in the Urban Programs Department, doles out the funding where we think it's most needed. The Home Investment Partnership Program is for affordable housing, and we have a great organization before us tonight that's going to seek funding for a good project. So what I'm going to do is open up the floor for testimony in favor of Resolution 18-020. Testimony in opposition to Resolution 18-020. Seeing none, once again, I'll call for testimony in favor. Testimony in opposition. Seeing none, we'll call the public hearing closed at 7:06 p.m. Thank you. Let me know when you're ready, Madam
I'm
Clerk.
ready.
Okay, we're going to open the regular meeting of the Human Affairs Committee on April 9th at 7:07 p.m. in the Aldermanic Chamber. The same members are present.
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Also, Carrie Skeena is with us. The first item on our agenda is public comment. Quiet group tonight. Communications.
We have a communication from Kim Kleiner, Chief of Staff in the Mayor's Office, regarding the Arlington Street Community Center Director request.
There being no objection, I will accept the communication and place it on file.
We have a second communication from Carrie Skeena, Urban Programs Manager, regarding the Police Athletic League fiscal year 19 CDBG request.
There being no objection, I will accept the communication and place it on file.
And our final communication from Carrie Skeena, Urban Programs Manager, regarding the home program and 21 Chautauqua Avenue.
Good job on the pronunciation. There being no objection, we'll accept the communication and place it on file. Unfinished business.
We have none.
New business resolutions.
Resolution 18-020, authorizing the mayor to apply for and expend the Community Development Block Grant, CDBG, and Home Investment Partnership Program funds for the fiscal year 2019. And I would move to recommend final passage.
Okay. Carrie, did you care to join us for a short discussion? Thank you. And, no, that was the last. So we're just looking for final passage this evening. No changes that you'd recommend on this resolution?
So in the communication regarding Chautauqua Ave, if we want to kind of step through that, that application came in, and Habitat for Humanity is in attendance tonight. I wasn't sure if it would be appropriate, if there were any questions for them to come up during the discussion of this communication or during the public hearing, but I think I thought during the communication, so that may have been my error with the programmatic way of doing these meetings. However, they submitted an application for home funding, which, as you mentioned a short while ago, is to develop affordable housing. So this proposal is to acquire and rehab an existing single-family property. It's currently vacant, and it's in need of substantial rehab. So the application they put in, we were stepping through some of the required HUD steps, such as the environmental review and things like that. So the timing sort of worked out that we thought we could incorporate it into the annual resolution, since it is home funding, and we have done that before in prior years. It's been a few years, but we've done it before. So in the interest of time and streamlining the process, we wanted to discuss that option. And so I don't, if there were any specific questions or.
Well, I would invite the Executive Director for Habitat and Deb Chisholm. I'm not sure your role with Habitat, but please join us. Board President, okay. Well, we have the top dogs here tonight, so. Hi there. I wonder if you could just give us a little bit of, background on this project and where you see it going?
Great.
If you
Well,
wouldn't mind.
Thank you, Madam Chairman. My name is Scott Slattery. I'm the Executive Director of Greater Nashua Habitat for Humanity, newly christened. So I'll do my best to give you some background on Chautauqua Drive. I know that.
Congratulations on the appointment then.
Thank you very much.
welcome.
And I'll certainly let Deb, Deb's been involved with this project a little bit longer than I have. But yes, we are seeking home funds from the city of Nashua to acquire and rehab a property on Chautauqua Drive in Nashua. As Carrie indicated, it is a vacant single-family home structure that is in need of substantial rehabilitation. So the funds that we're requesting tonight will be to acquire the site, to mitigate all the hazardous materials. There is quite a substantial amount of hazardous mitigation required, asbestos and lead paint specifically, and then to rehab the structure and make it habitable, livable for another Habitat family, partner family that we would do. We would be looking to do this as our next project, as we're wrapping up a project right now at the old soup kitchen location on Chestnut Street.
Nice.
So we appreciate the opportunity to come in front of the committee and talk a little bit about the project.
Can you give us a little bit of information on this Department of Environmental Services and the impact on that site?
I can.
Deb?
The issue with the site is it is adjacent to the former Whitney Screw property, which is one of the first brownfields properties actually ever cleaned up and developed in the state of New Hampshire. So if you recall, it was a few years ago now, but clearly they have returned that particular property back to the tax rolls, and it's quite a successful business businesses that are going on there. The issue that we were concerned about is the contamination that's in the groundwater. It flows underneath Chautauqua and heads over towards the Nashua River under the railroad track and in that direction. The concern was thankfully dissipated after I had spoken a few times back and forth with folks at the Department of Environmental Services. The issue really is that the contamination is there, but the contamination is deep. It's deep enough down in the groundwater that it's not an issue for the homes. Nobody in the vicinity drinks water from a private well. That was the primary concern. The secondary concern is whether the vapors from those contaminants would be able to come up through the soil and into the basement of the property. And that's not the case in this particular situation, that the groundwater is deep enough where it's not an issue. And we were quite concerned about that from a habitat standpoint. I looked at it from a standpoint of would I want my family to live there. We certainly don't want a partner family to have a legacy like that they would have to be dealing with. So we were very certain when we moved forward with this particular application that was not going to be the case.
Pretty thorough. Thank you very much for that explanation. I started reading, I'm like, whoa, boy, this doesn't sound good. But then, it got better as you kept reading, and which was encouraging. Well, this sounds like a great project. Thank you for putting yourselves out there to do that. Scott?
Thank you, Madam Chairman. I just wanted to say anecdotally, the huge thanks that we have to Carrie and the staff in the Urban Programs Department walking us through this project. As I said, I've only been with Habitat for a few weeks, but I've been reading quite a bit about it and the correspondence back and forth between Carrie's office and our office. This couldn't have been put together without the great work of Carrie and her staff. So we just wanted to say thank you.
Nice. Great job, Carrie.
It's a good
Okay,
project.
any of the committee have any questions?
Sounds great.
Sounds good. Alderman Karen.
Thank you. I think this is a great idea if we can take a piece of property and refurbish it and put someone in there that needs a home. I think you're doing really well, and I echo your sentiments because I deal with Carrie on the other group that has to deal with funding and her staff, and they do a wonderful job. So thank you for letting her know that. Thank you.
When is the Chestnut Street property going to be occupied?
Well, interesting enough that you would ask that. We're getting ready as we go into May and June. One of our biggest initiative at Habitat and the national level is our Women Build in 2018. And we're using our Women Build Thursdays and Saturdays in May and June to finish the project. So
Nice.
we're hopeful that we can get families in there by the end of the summer.
Nice. Knock on wood.
You know, but
Great.
it's great. We would love to take anybody, you know, if they'd love to come and see it. You know, usually our partner families are on site building because they have to do their 350 hours of sweat equity as
Yeah.
part of their requirement to purchase. So anytime, we'd love to take you through there.
Awesome. Might take you up on that. Thank you.
Thank you.
Anything else? Anything further? No? Thank you very much for joining us and your explanation on that. Okay. So I see Kim Kleiner here. I wondered if you had anything you wanted to add to the discussion tonight on the funding for the Arlington Street Community Center. We did get all your information. Thank you for that. Does the committee have any questions for Ms. Kleiner, or can she go home? Bye. Thanks, Kim.
Thank you, Kim. I couldn't see you, but thank you.
Okay, so the motion before us
Oh,
is...
there was one other piece of
Oh.
information we got regarding the lighting at PAL, and I didn't know if Carrie wanted
right.
to just speak
Okay.
to the information they presented.
Thank you. Yes, one of the questions the last time the committee met was regarding the breakdown of how the costs were distributed for the lighting. It was just identified as a lump sum in the original application. So the executive director, Sean Nelson, provided that information based on a quote that he received from a contractor. And it's actually, I think the breakdown is a little bit more than what he initially requested, but also in his email to our office, inquired about keeping the request at the $12,000 amount, although he indicated that they no longer need the funds to do the fire protection piece of it that they initially identified. They were able to do that through a volunteer project. And so, I mean, that I guess is before the committee for consideration as well. And then I know there were some questions about the lighting regarding what part was LED versus flood versus safety.
Questions from the committee? So is that what we have in the line item for them is 12,000 at this point? Okay. Anything else on resolution 18-020? Carrie?
So just in general terms, the federal budget did pass March 23rd-ish, and CDBG it was up 1% nationally. So we still don't have our exact allocation yet. It takes HUD about 6 weeks to calculate the exact amount. It's a formula grant. So there are different pieces that go into that formula, the demographics, and it's not a straight shot that if CDBG went up 1%, our grant will go up 1%. It really depends on the dynamics within the city that they base the data on. But, you know, just as general terms, it's 1%. And what was really encouraging is that the home program at the national level was increased 43%. And that was really good news for everybody in the sector, because that program in 2012 had been cut by 50%. So it looks like they're trending toward trying to reinstate that program a little bit. So that would significantly impact the allocation that we receive as a city. Again, it won't be exactly 43%, but it'll be a significant increase, I would imagine. And I believe the way the resolution is worded is that depending on how the grant ends up, we just proportionately distribute it based on the formulas, because 15% is required to go to a CHODO, which is a community housing development organization, the 10% admin, and then generally the balance goes toward just affordable housing development. And then those are requests that we take on a rolling basis, such as the Habitat application. So that will be a significant increase. We'll definitely be looking for some developer friends out there to come in with applications.
That's great.
That is great. Good
Yeah.
news.
Absolutely.
Up and up. We like that when we're talking about funding
Yeah.
more and more.
And the HUD-led program, not that we're applying this year, but that received about a 60% budget increase. So
Wow,
That's
Um,
wonderful.
that's awesome.
for
We're-
HUD in
We're in the
general.
middle of a grant, right? We're not.
We just began one December 15th, so
Okay.
we're just in the beginning of a new 3-year period.
Okay.
So we're taking applications, and I'll use this as an opportunity to plug that program. And it's private residential property that is either occupied or owned by low-income households. So we really encourage people to give us a call, and that's Urban Programs, and just chat with us to see if they qualify, because there's grants of about $9,000 per unit. They just have to give us a 3-year return that they'll rent to low-income families, and we do all the work.
Nice.
So, yeah,
You can't beat that.
it's a great
really good.
program.
That's a really good program. Anything else from the committee? Okay, one more time, we're gonna, sorry, recommend final passage of Resolution 18020. Any other discussion? Carrie?
I'm sorry.
That's all right.
I feel like I should be more cohesive here. In the memo that I attached regarding Chautauqua, there was also a proposed draft amendment to be able to incorporate Chautauqua in there. Hopefully that did make it in, so because it provided the sample language if it was the committee's will to include that in the resolution.
We didn't have any recommendations at this point for the home grant.
It should have been on the resolution.
I was
the
going to say it was
original
on the
one.
resolution, and I
Okay.
remember seeing it, but
Yeah.
I just don't have my copy with me.
Okay, so we are gonna recommend final passage of Resolution 18020 as amended
It's amended.
to include the home funds for Habitat for Humanity. In the amount of $292,000, is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. Discussion on that motion. Motion is to recommend final passage of Resolution 18020 as amended. Further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? And that motion carries. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
New business ordinances.
We have none.
General discussion.
Just echo the thank you to Carrie and everyone for putting this together.
Yeah, thank you, Carrie. Public comment?
No.
Remarks by Alderman.
Oh,
Yeah.
I know it will probably be announced tomorrow evening also, but we found out today that former Alderman McGinnis died, and so condolences to his family. He was certainly a very active member of the board and will be missed.
Yeah, agreed. Was a good guy. Okay. Any further remarks by Alderman? Seeing none, no need for a non-public. Is there a motion? Alderman Karen.
Yes, motion to adjourn.
Motion is to adjourn. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? And we are adjourned at 7:24. Wow. Thank you.